Hello, everybody. Welcome to Work-Based Webinar Wednesday. This is Mr. Bates from Rowan Salisbury School CTE department. As always, we welcome you and we ask that you follow our norms for our podcast, and that's the 3 L's. That's all we have. You need to look, listen, and learn. I can guarantee you, if you're looking at your screen and that if you're listening, you're guaranteed to learn something, especially today. I have a special guest. He's going to tell you all about his many talents. He's going to tell you all about his career. It's Mr. Dontell Jefferson. And so without any further ado, Mr. Jefferson, I just want you to introduce yourself. Tell us about your journey, man. Just to tell us about what you do today, and then talk about the journey and what it took for you to get to where you are today.
Okay. Man, first of all, man, just thank you for reaching out and having me on your podcast, man. I'm very blessed to be a part of this and share things that I've learned over the course of my career and educational experience to all the educators out there, and also the young people that'll be tuning in as well. My name is Dontell Jefferson. I am from a small town in South Georgia called Cordele, Georgia. My mother had the aspirations of moving to just provide a better life for us, and I ended up in Atlanta in 1994. And I turned out to be a basketball player. I left high school with one Division I scholarship offer that I turned down. Ended up going to junior college, played 2 years at Atlanta Metropolitan College, and then I was able to get a scholarship to University of Arkansas. From Arkansas, I was able to graduate, and then I joined the D League, which is the NBA G League now, and I worked my way up to an NBA call-up with the Charlotte Bobcats in 2009. And from there, I kind of had some injuries, and then I finished my career over in Saudi Arabia in 2018. And that's when I authored my first book, How to Make It to the NBA, The 100% Truth About Coming from Nowhere, Having Little to No Scholarship, and still making it to the biggest stage in basketball. I turned that into using my knowledge to go out to different organizations and speak to schools, businesses about, what is your MBA? Being able to visualize your goals, be self-disciplined, and being able to take fear among life experiences. So now I am an assistant dean at a public charter school out here in Little Rock, Arkansas. And that's where I am, man. It's been a great experience, full of ups and downs, but I am blessed to say that everything that I went through has prepared me for what I am doing right now.
Man, that's awesome. Just to hear you talk about the journey and, what you had to do to get there. You got a very humble spirit about yourself, man. And I know that there's a lot more that you can let us in on. I really want to hear what, whenever you speak to people about your book, I want to hear a little bit more about what was in your book. I love the term that you use. What is your MBA? Because everybody has that certain stage that they want to make it to. So can you talk a little bit more about the book and, talk about some of the things that you speak to people about when you speak to them about the book?
Yeah, man. So the book actually came from an idea of my best friend used to have a basketball. Well, he has a basketball camp. And I wanted to do a basketball camp where I was born in Cordele, but I always compared what my success would look like to his. And for the longest, it took me a while to actually do the camp. And so I always second guess myself. And so I had the idea to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
I think I put the notes down in 2012, and 6 years later, I was able to publish the book. So within the book is basically my journey of how I was able to use my experiences on growing up in a small town, not a bunch of resources. Use my humble beginnings of being raised by my mother and my grandmother, without my father never really around or not around at all. And then just my mom, like I mentioned, my mom having aspirations to want something better for herself and me, and then how I was able to uh, move to a different city, meet new friends, be exposed to more things, and then fall in love with basketball. Um, and so within the book, I just try to, tell my story and give real life examples and be as transparent as possible about how my life went, even with the struggles that I was able to go through as well, and then, persevere through them. Because in life, everybody has something that we're going to go through at all times. And it's not, the course is how do you react from, falling down or, getting, facing things that, maybe some people won't have to go through in their lifetime. And I think that, being able to persevere through the adverse times is, what makes you who you are. Um, and like I mentioned earlier, self-discipline, having a strong foundation, whether it's through friends or family or educators, whomever that foundation can be, being able to use those experiences and learn from them can also set you up for success in life. Um, and the term is, what is your MBA? It's, what are your lifelong goals or short-term goals that you have that you want to achieve for yourself, whether it's be a doctor, be a teacher, principal, own your own business, whatever that MBA for you is, that's for you. And I think that we have to understand that everybody's MBA is going to be different. Everybody's path in life is going to be different. And once you understand that process, I think it's kind of easier to maneuver throughout your life, um, and continue to reach that goal.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Great words. Students, I want y'all to hold on to these words. So I know today you're an assistant dean. So this question is going to be twofold. I want you to describe, because a lot of students, they want to be professional athletes, but they don't understand what it really takes.
Right.
They don't understand the grind that comes with it. They don't understand how much mental capacity you got to have to be a professional athlete. So, can you describe a day in the world of a professional athlete preparing for the NBA or in the NBA, and then also as an assistant dean, and talk about how they compare too?
Okay. Yeah, man. So I would use, the off season preparation as my example. A typical off season day or a Monday, let's just say, I would usually wake up around like 8 or 9, and then I would hit the weight room for like 2 hours, um, eat breakfast. I would go rest for maybe 2, 3 hours, and then I would go back to the gym and get a skill workout in. Um, and then I would go home, have dinner, and that would be 5 days a week, every day, consistently. Having a jug of water. I think now there's a trend of drinking a jug of water a day, a gallon of water a day. But I've been drinking a gallon of water a day since 2004, and that was something that we had to do at Arkansas. So the self-discipline that goes with being a professional athlete is something that you have to do day in and day out, even when you don't feel like it, when it's raining, uh, if it's snowing. Right now we have weather, and if it permits, you still have to get up and go put in the work. And essentially, it's the same thing as an assistant dean. I have to make sure that I get up, eat breakfast, uh, be to work on time, uh, make sure I check my emails that I'm supposed to respond to, do my hall duty, and just be a professional at all times. Speaking to parents where some students may have behavior issues, or we may have an incident where we have to do investigations on something that may have transpired throughout the day. So just being able to manage your time well and be consistent across the board and doing everything at a high level is how they kind of compare. You know, with being an athlete, there's always teamwork. So in my role at the school, I had to work with the head dean. I had to work with teachers. And I also had to work with our director. So being able to be in my role and do my role well, obviously helps with being part of the team of the staff. So I think that's kind of how they correlate. I think the biggest thing that would be most important to kind of take away would be just your time management and being self-disciplined and all of this when you go, because the more effective you can manage your time, it makes life a lot easier, and also being able to balance your home life as well. So I think that would be the biggest thing that sticks out.
So another twofold question. What are the hard skills and the soft skills needed for professional athlete, an author, and a dean of students? Because you multi-talented.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the soft skills. You got to be versatile. But
Right.
I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, man. And this is interesting, man. And I've learned this from my director. Um, and she also has an athletic background. And when she put it this way, it made me think about you know jobs outside of the athletic space. But far as hard skills, I think that's an individual type of thing on what you want. So if you want a degree in marketing, or if you want a degree in project management, things like that, I think that's something specifically that you want, and you have to set a goal and obtain to go get it. But I think in the corporate space, the main thing that the soft skills that you need really is being a good communicator and knowing how to work in a team.
Mm-hmm.
Because most jobs, everything can be taught.
Mm-hmm.
Any job that you get, like, people can teach you how to do it. But
Mm-hmm.
if you know how to work in a team, and you know how to communicate with people, that's the easiest thing to do, because 9 times out of 10 you're gonna have to work with colleagues, and you're gonna have to be able to speak to people. And so I personally, just after being around her and then um, learning in this role, if you can be a great teammate as an athlete, so teammate, staff member, and if you can communicate, like, anything can be taught that you can do. So it's not many jobs that you can't get, and then you just have to hone in on your interviewing skills.
Yep.
And I think that's it's not a real science to it. Learn how to speak to people, be respectful, be a great teammate, staff member, colleague, friend, family member, and you really can get any job that you want, as long as you put in the work behind closed doors that people won't really see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Be a people person. Be kind.
Right.
Be respectful to others. And that's been said on this webinar time and time and time again. And so I want the students who are watching to really take note of that, because if you can be a people person, and I like to call it communities, customer service, not community service, but customer service. If you can have great customer service in everything that you do, then you can go into any industry that you really want to. You can choose which industry you want to. You're gonna be a great employee,
Right.
and you'll be a great teammate, or you'll be a great athlete, just because you putting forth the great customer service and you putting in that work. I love that you said putting in the work behind closed doors, because a lot of people don't see that.
Right. Yeah, man. And not to cut you out, but I
No,
think
go ahead.
just, man, and I tell people, because there's an influx of entrepreneurs and things like that. But sometimes you run into entrepreneurs that have their business, and their customer service, like, it sucks. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, it just sucks, and it is what it is. So you have to know how to engage with people on a day in and day out basis, and it has to be everybody. Like, it's because you're gonna come in contact with a diverse group of people. So you
Yep.
have to be able to be understanding and realize, okay, they may not be from the same culture that I'm from. So I may have to watch how I say certain things. And
Mm-hmm.
then I may have to understand then we're not from the same space as well. So I need to figure out, well, why would she say something like this? Or why would he say something like that? Uh,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah, man, it's one of those things. You're not interviewing for that job. You're actually interviewing for the next job.
That's it. That's it. And somebody's always watching.
Yeah.
Is what I always say. Somebody's always watching you. So you gotta be behaving like you're interviewing.
Right.
So man, I can talk about that for days. So, but I'm gonna move on to the next question. So, um, you know, throughout your career journey, um, what has been the pros and the cons of being a professional athlete and then being an educator in the education space?
Um, I think the pros of being a professional athlete, you get to experience part of the country that you probably wouldn't um, get a chance to go to. Um, I think that part, the part of being able to be meet a group of guys year in year out, um, learn from those guys, being part of a group that's competing for the same thing, and everybody wants to win championships. Um, and I think the cons of it is just, giving up so much time. Um, I think that as I've gotten older, that's what I realized. Like I gave up and I had to sacrifice a lot of my time, such as holidays, Christmas and things like that. Um, far as in the educational space, I haven't really seen any. Like obviously, I have my family is back in Georgia, so being here in Arkansas, I'm also sacrificing that time again as well. So that's one of the challenging things that I'm having to face on that end. But I think the pro is just being able to uh, impact lives, young kids' lives directly in the building. Um, being able to see how they grow over a few months that you've been with them, and obviously over the course of the school year. I think that's kind of been the most rewarding thing for me.
Absolutely. So, can you tell us about, and you can choose either professional athlete or dean of students. Tell us about just a short story about one of your best days or one of your worst days in your career.
um I think one of my best days as a professional was getting the call from my agent saying that I got picked up by the Charlotte Bobcats. And I remember getting a call at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and at the time I was out in Utah, and we had a game. We was getting ready for that day, and I'm real big on not being woken up out of my sleep. And so I vividly remember like being mad that, like, man, why are you calling me this early? Like I got a game. Like what what do you want? And he finally got me to calm down. And when he told me that Charlotte was bringing me in, like it was just like a flashback, and a bunch of emotions just hit me, and all I could see was everything that I had done up until that point kind of just playing back. Um, so I think that would be like one of the most rewarding things as far as my professional career. And then being an assistant dean, I think, man, I think just being able to have the conversations that I'm having with students, and it's I take the initiative as uh, I don't want to be the dean like how principals were back in 90, 95, 2000. Like I want to have tough conversations with those kids so they make sure that they learn from their experience, and then also being able to discipline at the same time.
Hmm.
Uh, and so that's the kind of approach I have. So that's the most rewarding for me is, bringing you in here, talking to you about, your situation, explain it to you in a way that you can understand it, make it relatable to outside things that can happen outside of the building in life,
Hmm.
and then being able to still issue the consequence, and we still going about our day. I think that's the most rewarding part.
That's right. Absolutely, man. So, basically, what you're saying is anything that can happen on the athletic field or court can be transferred to life.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify for the students.
Absolutely.
I just really wanted to clarify that it can all be applied to, how you go about your job, how you go about sometimes one day, fellas, you're gonna be a husband. One day, young women, you're gonna be a wife. It's gonna be, it's all about how you approach it. And some of those same approaches and some of those same things that you do on the court in the field to prepare yourself, you're going to be doing those same things when it comes to your job and when it comes to your family and when it comes to your finances. So I got one last question and
Okay.
then we're going to get out of here. So if you could go back to when you were a teenager, what kind of advice would you give yourself? What would you say um, to the 16-year-old Dontell Jefferson?
I get that question a lot, man, and it's one of the biggest things that I've learned, and it's being able to be patient.
Mm,
Um, I vividly recall when I had my surgery, I was so used to playing, and I was used to making money. Like the only thing I could think about was I got to get back healthy. I got to get back healthy, and I got to get back healthy. Um, and so even though I went through the protocols for my rehab on my knees and things like that, mentally I wasn't ready. Like I wasn't ready mentally, and it set me out 2 years. And so when I finally realized that I just needed to take my time and actually do the things that got me to that point of playing at a high level at that time, once I did that, like it was like night and day. And so I think just being learning to be patient. I feel like we're in a society now where we get instant gratification from a lot of things. So throw the instant gratification out the window, and then just being able to make sure that we just be patient with whatever it is that we're going through, and try to put yourself in the best possible situations that where if you can expedite that situation, you expedite it, but do it in the correct manner.
So I do have one last question.
Okay.
One last one. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hard is it to become a professional athlete?
10. It's a 10. It's definitely a 10. Man, don't get me wrong. Like when I was in high school, I had a goal of making it to the NBA, but my biggest goal was to just go to school and get a college degree. Um,
Mhm.
I wasn't even, I didn't even think about the NBA even once I left Arkansas. I wanted to, I was in school to finish my 5th year, and all I did wanted to go was overseas. Uh,
Mhm.
so my biggest thing was just being able to go to college and get a degree and have basketball pay for it. So it's definitely a 10. Um, I think a lot of people they misread the reality of it, because the percentage of making it to any league is very low, and I just happen to be zero point 0.9 of the percentage that actually make it. And we're
Mhm.
talking about of all high school athletes, and that's not including the international players that try to get in as well. So I want to just make sure I put that out there that it's very hard, especially when the percentage is that low.
Yeah. And I know I said one last question, but I just gotta ask this one too. So how much of it is being in the right place at the right time versus because I know you worked hard for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus how hard you had to work for it, but how much does just the chance of you, and I don't believe in luck, so just the chance of you being in the right place at the right time, how much impact did that have on it?
I think it had a lot to do with it, man. I think some of my bad decisions possibly helped, and I think some of my good decisions possibly helped. So I think it was just it's more so of um, obviously being blessed by the higher power, and then just being able to to continually pursue the dream that I actually wanted.
Mhm.
I put myself around people that was in the NBA at that time, and I just continued to work and do as my coach asked of me, and the information that I got down from my agent. Try to work on those things that the scouts wanted to see me do, and I was fortunate enough to make it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate you investing in our students because we really needed to hear this message. I always, in any of my webinars, I love to take notes. So I took some good notes today,
Okay.
learned a lot from you. And I just want to sum it up with some of the key points that I learned today, just in case the students didn't catch on to these. But here's some words that I want them to hang on to. Number one, be humble. Number two, perseverance and self-discipline is key. Number three, learn from your experiences. Number four, no matter what you're doing, you got to learn how to condition yourself and train yourself to compete or work at a high level every single day.
Good.
Be able to communicate and collaborate. Be patient. Throw the instant gratification out of the window.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so this is Work-Based Webinar Wednesday with Dontell Jefferson. Mr. Jefferson, I really appreciate you. Your students are very blessed just to have someone like you in their lives. And now you've come and you've blessed our students. So I really appreciate it, man.
No problem, man. Once again, thanks for having me on, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.